The Fanfiction Power Hour is a comedy podcast between friends that does not attempt straightforward readings. The links to the fanfictions are in the description if you would prefer an unaltered experience and to support the authors by giving the stories a like.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Jen and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour. I am your host for tonight, Wizzy Puff, joined as always by the lovely Jen.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Jen. It's good to be back on here. As always, the intro is always the most difficult part, really.
Right?
The rest of the podcast is pretty easy. But the intro, it's like, especially if you're in the second person position. If you're in the first person position, it's usually fine. But like the second person one that you used to do all the time, I have no idea how you ever did this all the time, because this is the most difficult spot for me.
I don't know what I actually said. I'm scared to go back to those old episodes because I'm pretty sure I probably said something racist. I was just saying whatever came to my mind, and back in the... I'm kidding. I'm not like that, I promise.
I probably had said something racist as a bit, but,
God.
Bits can only go so far, I suppose.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean, though. It's very nice being the one who just has to remember to say the introduction and then pass it off to you. And then you have to take it from there.
Yeah, but I do have to, pass it back.
Yeah.
Back to you, Wizzy.
So Mother's Day was recently, and I became a mother.
Congratulations, you son of a bitch. You know how much I want to be a mother.
It's pretty easy when you just start raising some plants from the ground. And you just be like, they're my babies. And when they have babies, I'm a grandma.
Aw, little plant babies.
Speaking of babies, tonight we're going to be reading Lunch by Titanium Dragon.
I'm sorry, did you say speaking of babies and then connect that to lunch?
Okay, listen here. That wasn't the connection. Just because children are the thing that I eat when I hide under their beds doesn't mean that I was actually thinking of eating children when I said that.
Okay, well, what did you mean? What was the connection there, buddy?
Well, this is just the first, proper CMC fic that we're going to be reading. Usually it's about one or the other, or it's a horrible event happening to them where they're getting tortured, but tonight this is going to be the first time we're actually reading a good comedy CMC fic. That's just about the gang.
What about the CMCR in a 1990s era anti-drug PSA?
Shoot! I forgot about that one. And that was really good.
What about Big Trouble?
I don't know. I just feel like this one is going to be more focused on them. I don't know that for sure, but I feel like that one had other character tags. That's kind of my leaning, I guess. This is the first one I'm seeing that just has CMCs as a character tag. I could be wrong, but...
All right, that's fair.
I feel like these guys, they're so much more capable than they get the credit for from the fan fictions we've read of them in the past, except for Witching Hour. They were good in that, but that didn't really feel like the CMCs. So I kind of wanted to look at a fanfic that just felt like the teamwork. That's what I'm looking for. A nice teamwork fic.
Okay, I see. God, now I want to read another fic like The Witching Hour, man.
Yeah, that really was good.
I want to read another action fic.
That technically did take place in the universe of another fanfiction, right?
Nightmares, yeah.
Yeah, but that's not something we're probably going to read at some point. Well, without further ado, let us dig in to Lunch by Titanium Dragon.
Let us dig in, like you do with lunch.
Yeah, I thought I was being pretty clever.
Tummy's rumbling.
Chapter 1.
The only chapter.
Lunch.
Hey, Apple Bloom. Nice apple strudel you got there.
Diamond Tiara said, smirking over at the filly from the other side of the picnic table.
Yeah, did your mom make that for you?
Oh my god! You can't say that!
Damn. Diamond Tiara just goes, what the fuck? Hold on.
No, I swear I didn't know she was going to say that, Apple Bloom. I'm sorry.
Damn.
Silver Spoon asked, before gasping and putting a hoof up in front of her mouth.
Oh, right. I forgot. She died so she wouldn't have to.
Jesus. And
What is
speaking
this?
of dying, you could die too if you don't go down into the description and read this story for yourself. You could also give it a like. I hear that prevents dying a bit better.
9 out of 10 doctors say that liking Lunch by Titanium Dragon prevents scurvy.
You should listen to those 9 out of 10. I wonder what does the one think?
Oh, he thinks that oranges prevent scurvy or something.
So anyways, what the fuck, Silver Spoon?
Yeah, Silver Spoon, maybe she's the bad apple, actually.
Damn. Got her.
The two fillies giggled nasally as they sneered at Apple Bloom. Apple Bloom pounded her hooves onto the table, rising up off the bench she was sitting on. Oh, yeah? Well, at least my sister cares about me enough to make me lunch instead of having some pony else do it for her.
Whatever.
Diamond Tiara flicked her hoof.
Every pony knows you just get leftovers. That's why it's always apples every day.
She smirked.
Of course, my family can afford to eat more than one kind of food. So, do people who only grow one crop only eat that crop ever?
I think most people grow more than one kind of crop if they're growing crops.
Do apples count as a crop?
Does Applejack not?
No. The only thing on their farms are apples and livestock.
Man, poor Apple Bloom.
Yeah. Hey, what are you two doing here?
Scootaloo shouted in front of the schoolhouse.
Yeah, leave Apple Bloom alone.
Sweetie Belle piped in from beside her.
Jeez, we were just trying to make conversation.
Diamond Tiara shrugged.
Oh well, it's not like Silver Spoon and I want to eat lunch with you blank fangs anyway. Come on, Silver. Yeah, that's how I also make conversation and bring up someone's dead mother. It's a very easy conversation starter.
I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she's a child and she doesn't have a filter. But Silver Spoon, maybe...
Isn't a child, therefore...
Wait, what?
That's incorrect information. No, she's a child. I was just joking.
Okay. I thought she was like Diamond Tiara's best friend, and then you're like, oh yeah, Diamond Tiara is a child, but Silver Spoon is a full-on adult. They just hang out together at school.
No, that's just how it sounded like you might have been going with that, which would have been confusing.
But Silver Spoon isn't a child, and therefore she belongs in jail for hanging out with these children. She hopped down off the bench and began walking away, the gray filly grabbing both their lunchboxes and hurrying after a moment later. Ah! Apple Bloom slammed her lunchbox shut, pounding her hooves on the table.
Oh, come on, Apple Bloom,
Sweetie Belle said as she trotted over, depositing her lunchbox onto the table next to her friends.
Don't let them get to you.
They're right, though. It's the same thing. Every day.
What do you mean?
Scootaloo asked, sitting down on the other side of the earth pony. Apples! Apple Bloom pounded on the table again. Apples! All I ever eat is apples! Apple Bloom gesticulated wildly. No peaches, no pears, no corn. Just apples. Day in and day out.
But you have a big field of corn out in front of your barn, don't you?
Oh, I guess they do.
I don't remember that.
Sweetie Belle said from her place on the bench beside Apple Bloom. Of course we have a big field of corn and carrots. But do I ever get those for lunch? No. It's apple strudel, apple crisps, apple pie, baked apples, sometimes just straight up apples. Apple Bloom smacked her metal lunchbox with her hoof, sending it sliding across the table.
It's okay. I know how you feel.
Sweetie Belle said, setting a hoof on her friend's back as Apple Bloom slumped over the table.
It's not like Rarity's any better. Oh, you need to have the proper lunch for a young lady.
Sweetie Belle swatted at the side of her lunchbox with her hoof, flipping the lid up.
Look at this. Lettuce wraps. And they aren't even very big.
Hold on a tick, Apple Bloom said. I thought you lived with your parents. Why is Rarity making you lunches? Sweetie Belle's head fell.
Off her body. She's dead now.
No, not Sweetie Belle, not again.
Decapitated. The Cutie Mark Crusader with the most deaths. I can't confirm if that's true.
It definitely feels true.
Mm-hmm.
It's too many times for my taste. That's all I know.
Yeah.
My parents are on vacation again. It isn't so bad, I guess. I mean, it means I get to spend more time with my sister. But
She shook her head. She
she just makes the exact same thing for lunch every day. Every day. It even looks exactly the same.
Well, at least your lunch looks good. Look at mine.
Scootaloo hefted a misshapen sandwich in one hoof.
Peanut butter and jelly. Day in and day out. And it doesn't even look right. Scootaloo kind of looks like peanut butter and jelly.
Ooh, that's so true. Mostly peanut butter.
Yeah. And you got grape jelly. The hair. Remain.
And then the house that falls on top of her is the bread. No, wait, no, that was the Wicked Witch of the East.
That's right. That was the Wicked Witch of the East.
Silly me.
Common mistake to make.
The three fillies sighed in unison. Hey, I've got an idea, Apple Bloom said. Sweetie Belle lifted her head.
Learn how to cook.
No. I mean a more immediate solution to our problems.
Kill Diamond Tiara.
That's so clever. How come they never thought of that? They could get their cutie marks in killing.
Yeah. God, there probably are ponies with cutie marks and killing.
Oh, God. I mean, yeah, there's like shining armor. Ooh. I say this because he works as like a soldier.
His cutie mark is a shield.
But he still works in the army. You know, he's probably killed a changeling or two.
Sure, but like he didn't get his cutie mark in killing specifically.
It's in defending.
There was an episode where the CMC talk with a couple whose child got like a skull and crossbones cutie mark.
Oh no.
And they're just good at digging, I believe, was the ending result of it. Like they would be an archaeologist.
Oh my God.
But I think it was, or at least I thought it was supposed to make us go, yes, this child is going to be a murderer.
Either that or die horribly.
I think their parents thought pirate, which is significantly less funny.
This was, I can't remember his name. It wasn't Button Mash. Was it Rumble who is in Pirates for a Day? Pip.
Pip.
Was his name like Pip or something?
Pipsqueak, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was the guy from Pirates for a Day. I was just going to say it was going to be Pip because he's the pirate.
It wasn't Pip, no.
No, he's the pirate. Sweetie Belle looked from lunchbox to lunchbox, furrowing her brows.
Switch lunches?
Nope. Apple Bloom set one hoof on her lunchbox as she stood up tall and proud. Today's the day we eat at Sugar Cube Corner.
I can't.
Scootaloo said, slumping back on the bench.
I don't have any bits.
I'll pay.
Sweetie Belle bent down under the table, rummaging through her saddlebag before she sighed.
Oh, right. I'm staying with Rarity. My bit bag is at home.
Okay. Well, looks like it's PB&J again.
Scootaloo said as she turned back towards her lunch, lifting up her sandwich, only for Apple Bloom to block its passage with her hoof.
Asshole.
Wait, I've got a plan. Scootaloo blinked.
What is it?
Well, you know how Pinkie Pie sometimes used to give us free samples that were basically whole treats? Sweetie Belle shook her head.
But Mr. and Mrs. Cake made her stop doing that.
Yeah, but if we snuck in through the back, maybe...
They wouldn't notice and she could give us free treats. Apple Bloom, you're a genius.
Aw, shucks. Sweetie Belle glanced back at the schoolhouse.
We'd better hurry if we want to get to Sugar Cube Corner before lunch is over.
Right.
Scootaloo nodded decisively.
Come on. I'll pull you along in my scooter. All right, Cutie Mark Crusader Thieves. Let's go.
Yeah.
Breaking and entering for the win.
It would be really funny if that's how this ended. They get their Cutie Mark and theft.
Oh, that would be good.
Breaking and entering.
Let's get little, like, burglar masks as their cutie marks.
And I mean, what are you going to do but arrest them on the spot, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Can't have someone like that running around.
where do you think the criminals are in this society? All locked up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen one.
Scoodly-scoodly-loo.
It's locked.
Sweetie Belle said, staring up at the back door. Locked? Who the hey locks their door in Ponyville? Exactly. There's no crime. No one has to worry.
Yeah.
Scootaloo glanced between Sweetie Belle and the door.
Not a single one of them are like, hey, wait, maybe we shouldn't do this. Not even the voice of reason, Sweetie.
Sweetie Belle's the voice of reason?
They kind of flip-flop, but
Okay.
I think generally the moral voice of reason is Sweetie Belle.
Kind of makes sense. I kind of pictured it being Apple Bloom, though, just because seems like she has to deal with a lot of responsibility.
Not really.
Oh, okay. Doesn't take after her big sister as much as I thought.
Yeah, no. Since Applejack does most of the stuff, she doesn't really have to do as much, you know?
Hmm.
But she is the leader of the team.
Okay.
It's just she isn't, or Sweetie is the moral backbone.
Hmm.
She's like an advisor to Apple Bloom, really.
I'm picturing like the Earth Kingdom, the Earth King and Long Fang.
Yeah, kind of.
Scootaloo glanced between Sweetie Belle and the door.
Can't you, like, magic the door open or something?
Twilight could. I don't know how to do that.
Sweetie Belle hung her head.
Maybe we should just go.
No pony ever built a house without laying the first stone. The other two fillies blinked at Apple Bloom.
That doesn't sound like an apple pun.
Scootaloo said, I'm branching out, okay?
Like an apple tree?
Sweetie Belle tilted her head. No, not like an apple tree. I'm sick of apples. Apple Bloom stomped her hoof.
Okay.
Scootaloo said, retreating against the side of the building.
Sheesh.
Apple Bloom shook her head as she sat back on her haunches. Just let me think. Apple Bloom's eyes wandered across the back of the building as the other two fillies watched her expectantly. Say, Scootaloo, do you see that vent up there? Scootaloo's eyes rose.
I see it.
She grinned.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Apple Bloom nodded, clapping her hooves together. Let's stack up those boxes and get up there. The three fillies moved around the back of the shop, pushing empty crates which once held baking supplies up into a makeshift pile, straining as they pulled one crate on top of the other to pile them higher and higher, ever closer to their destination, the large square vent sticking out of the back of the building. Finally, Scootaloo clambered up on top of the pile, rearing up on her hind legs and sticking her tongue out of the side of her mouth before she finally hooked her hooves over the top edge of the vent and pulled herself up.
Whew, that was hot work.
Apple Bloom was next, swaying unsteadily on top of the piled debris before Scootaloo caught her hooves and drug her up inside.
She drugged her?
Ugh! Apple Bloom! First breaking and entering and now drugging people?
We have to stop her. Normally, I'm not for baby pony torture death, but this time, I think we gotta do what we gotta do.
Oh, God. Yeah, it is like drugs, and that's like the worst thing someone could do.
Yep, drugs are bad, just say no. And if you don't say no, well...
This is why the Cutie Mark Crusaders were in an anti-drug PSA. I don't think it was the work that's got us so hot, she said, sweating in the hot air flowing out of the shaft. Sweetie Belle paused below.
Are you sure this is a good idea?
Come on, Sweetie Belle.
Scootaloo called. Yeah, it ain't so bad. I'll be through the vents and out into the kitchen in a jiffy.
I don't know,
Sweetie Belle said, pawing at the dirt path behind the shop. Come on, hurry up. Sweetie Belle sighed and climbed up after her friends, staring up from the top of the swaying crates. She closed her eyes for a moment, steeling herself before she leapt up and clung awkwardly to the metal shaft as the crates came crashing down below her.
Help!
Apple Bloom banged her head on the side of the narrow passage. I can't turn around. Scootaloo rolled her eyes.
Just let her grab you into your tail.
Apple Bloom winced as Sweetie Belle's teeth clamped down around the red appendage, gritting her teeth as she crawled forward after Scootaloo. Sweetie Belle's hind legs scrabbled against the back of the building, beating out a staccato rhythm that made Scootaloo lower her ears.
Do you want everybody to hear us?
She hissed.
Then help!
Grabbing a hold of Apple Bloom's shoulders, Scootaloo pulled, and finally, Sweetie Belle was pulled inside the sloped metal shaft. With the weight of 2 fillies descending on her, Scootaloo couldn't keep her footing, and all 3 began to tumble down inside through the wall, crashing into the vent over the stove. Scootaloo's eyes watered as boiling hot steam flowed around her, making her yell loudly and try and shove the other 2 fillies off of her.
I'm roasted here.
I don't know who's saying this other line.
That would be probably Apple Bloom, just statistically speaking, on who makes fun of Scootaloo the most.
Does that mean you're fried?
No, get off.
I don't get it.
Chicken. There's a meme in the fandom way early on to basically the end of the show where Scootaloo was a chicken because in one episode, Apple Bloom mocks her for being chicken.
Ooh.
They were looking for a chicken at the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I actually remember in Brewster they probably mentioned that.
Oh yeah, they probably did, yeah.
With the amount of grunting and metallic banging, finally the fillies pulled back away from the grate as the ventilation shaft creaked ominously. The 3 fillies held their breath for several long seconds before it stopped moving, letting out a unified sigh of relief.
Whew, that was close.
Scootaloo said as she lifted a hoof to wipe the sweat off her forehead.
The cooking stuff down there. I thought for a second I was a gunner.
The vent creaked one last time before the steel screws holding the last section in place gave out with a loud ping, dumping the 3 shrieking fillies down on the boiling pots of chocolate and caramel on the stove. Oh my God! They're dead! This is a baby pony torture fic!
That's what I was gonna say. Oh my God. I mean, they had what's coming to them.
Yeah,
Let's face it.
This is just the consequences of their actions.
Children deserve the worst. They should have known.
Scoodly scootaloo. I'm going to keep doing that just for the CMC fic. It's fun.
Is Apple Bloom all right? I came as soon as I heard.
Applejack shouted as she burst through the door into the kitchen. Her eyes flicked wildly across the 3 filly-shaped blobs of chocolate, the orange of Apple Bloom's eyes, the only thing separating her from the other 2.
Apple Bloom!
Applejack lurched across the room, grabbing the chocolate-covered filly by the shoulders.
Apple Bloom,
I'll
speak.
kill you.
Oh, God. How dare you break in without me?
What did I tell you? If you ever do it, don't get caught.
The Apple Crime Family. Can we please have a fan fiction?
That's actually a thing in, I
Oh my
believe,
God.
Friendship is for Adults, the abridged series. Though they're mafia based.
Perfect.
Apple Bloom, speak to me, please. Just let me hear your voice one more time. Please don't let it end this way.
Oh my god.
Said the trapped filly.
Whoa there.
Rainbow Dash flew over, prying Applejack away from her sister.
The girls are fine. They just got totally covered in Pinkie Pie's new chocolate.
Okay, if that was boiling chocolate, that is deadly as far as I know. If you have like a pot of boiling chocolate poured over your entire body.
To be fair, they do have coats. So
Okay, that's not going
I
to
don't
protect
know, maybe
all.
that helps.
Yeah, you see how much your hair protects you from third-degree burns when I pour caramel over it. Because, I'm going to be caramelizing you to eat later.
Right.
I'm sorry, I was the first one eaten. It's your turn.
No, I know. Actually, I'm pretty sure. Trying to think if we've had any other cannibalism segments in this show. I can't remember, but it sounds about right. You kidnapped me that one time.
Yeah.
But that wasn't necessarily to eat me.
Applejack relaxed, slumping against the Pegasus.
What a relief. After what Big Mac told me, I thought,
I know. It is a total disaster.
Rarity wailed, her cheeks stained with twin lines of leaked mascara. Rainbow Dash arched an eyebrow.
You do realize that they're going to be okay once Mr. Cake gets back with that jackhammer, right?
Man, cartoon physics are my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
Rarity raised her hooves to the heavens.
But they will never get all the caramel out of their manes. Cut 'em off, manes grow back.
Rainbow Dash shrugged. Rarity gasped and toppled over onto the floor.
It's wild how Rainbow Dash is being the voice of reason here, and it's totally understandable.
It makes total sense because, Rainbow Dash would totally be someone who would experiment with her hair and going bald and everything.
Yeah. And so would Rarity. She has done that before.
Has she?
Yeah, not exactly on purpose, but yeah,
Oh, no.
she made it work.
Applejack sniffed a few times before rubbing at her eyes with her hoof and laughing weakly.
I gotta admit, it does smell mighty fine in here. It's all my fault.
Pinkie Pie shouted from the far side of the room, Applejack jerking her head as she noticed the deflated pink pony for the first time.
I thought it was just raccoons in the ventilation system again, so I left the pots and went to get a broom to scare them out, and then
Pinkie Pie sniffed a few more times before going back to sobbing into her hooves. Applejack sighed heavily as she rose back to her hooves, trudging over to hook her hoof around her friend's shoulders.
It's all right, Sugar Cube. No pony blames you for what happened.
But Applejack's right.
Rainbow Dash said, flying over to wrap her hooves and wings around Pinkie Pie from the other side.
What happened wasn't your fault. Though I do want to know, what the heck did you put into that chocolate anyway? It's like rock.
Oh, it's just my super industrial architectural baking chocolate.
Pinkie Pie makes cement.
Oh my god. She makes sense. She's on a rock farm.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
not on, she grew up on a rock farm. She has plenty of access to all sorts of rocks.
Yeah.
Sure, there's some kind of culinary rock around there.
There is a type of rock that you can eat.
Oh, do they actually eat rocks there? Well, other than salt?
I think they do, but I'm actually talking about it in real life.
Oh? Other than salt?
I saw a Vsauce short about it. I think it was a rock. It's a type of rock, probably.
I want to eat it.
I do too.
Pinkie Pie said, perking up as her mane regained its fluffiness.
You see, I was thinking about making an all-you-can-eat party, but then I realized that you can't eat tables. But then I thought, Pinkie, why can't you eat tables? So then I tried one, but it didn't taste very good. But then I thought, what if the table was made out of chocolate? So I...
Forget I asked. No, let her cook.
We need to figure out what this is. Rarity dabbed at her eyes with a tissue.
What I want to know is what they were doing in the ventilation system in the first place. Were they trying to get their cutie marks?
Rainbow Dash shook her head.
Nah, that's way too lame for Scootaloo.
Oh.
Agreed the trapped filly.
I suppose we'll just have to ask them when they get out.
Applejack said, shaking her head at the 3 chocolatey blobs.
Actually, I may be able to answer that question.
4 heads jerked towards the new voice in the room.
Twilight.
Twilight smiled weakly.
Sorry it took me so long. I was investigating.
Applejack blinked.
You didn't have to go and do that for us, Sugar Cube.
Twilight shook her head.
Nothing's more important than what happens to my best friend's sisters.
She sighed, her ears falling.
You might not want to hear it, though. Why?
Rarity asked, her voice quavering.
Well,
Twilight's eyes fell down to a piece of paper hovering in front of her snout, wrapped in violet magic.
I asked some of the kids at school if any of them knew why they might have gone to Sugar Cube Corner and left their lunch boxes behind.
Twilight bit her lip.
2 of their friends said that they heard them complaining about having the same thing for lunch every day and thought they might have been sneaking into Sugar Cube Corner to, well...
Oh yeah, 2 of their friends. Yeah, friends. It wasn't Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon.
Yeah.
Twilight sighed loudly. Applejack slid away from Pinkie Pie, trudging back over next to where Apple Bloom stood stiffly.
Oh, Apple Bloom, why didn't you say anything to me?
She wrapped her hooves around her entombed sister. Entombed.
That is horrifying, actually.
Yeah, like they should not be able to breathe in there, let alone live past the point of the chocolate baking their bodies to the point of
Solidification.
unconsciousness.
Yeah, they're dead.
The screaming that they heard was only coincidentally in time with what they were saying. It turns out that was their last gasps of breath.
I could have gotten some carrots from Golden Harvest, or made some cornbread or something.
I know just how you feel.
Rarity said, hanging her head as she trudged over to stroke Sweetie Belle's shoulder.
If she had just told me that she was tired of the salad wraps, I would have made her something else, like tea sandwiches or quiche.
Quiche.
Be very funny if Rarity really did pronounce quiche like that.
I wonder how it's actually pronounced in French. I never thought about that.
Plash.
Oh, oui. I always pronounced it quitch. Rarity paused.
Well, not quiche. That does not keep very well, but maybe a salad with just the right hint of vinaigrette dressing. It would have been nice.
The 2 ponies stared down in silence at their little sisters for several long moments before all the ponies slowly turned their heads to look at Rainbow Dash.
What?
Rainbow Dash said, nervously fluffing her wings.
Don't you have anything to say?
What? Rainbow Dash wouldn't make her lunch, would she? Did she take care of her that much?
Maybe later in the show, but this was 2015. I don't think so.
Man. Rarity asked. Rainbow Dash fidgeted.
What am I supposed to say? You know, saying what you would have done differently if only you'd known.
Twilight said, stepping forward.
Well, what am I supposed to do? It's not like she lives with me or anything.
You could have done something.
I don't think she could have.
Like what?
I don't know.
Applejack said, waving her hoof.
Maybe speak up and talk to her parents about what they made her for lunch or whatever.
Are you kidding me? Applejack and Rarity didn't know about this issue. Why would Rainbow Dash?
this adult should definitely be this involved with a child's life. Totally.
Well, in a world with no crime, I guess it makes sense.
Sure. Now we know why there's no crime.
But Applejack tilted her head. But what, Sugar Cube? Rainbow Dash gestured helplessly.
Squirt here always told me she made her own lunch.
Oh my god! Scootaloo! She complains. Well, I guess that's why she complains about PB&J every day, is because she can't make anything else because she's a child and her parents suck.
Yeah, that makes sense. Although they might not suck in this universe, they could be dead.
Oh no. Well, if they were dead, then Silver Spoon would have pointed it out. Come on.
That's true.
Author's note. I'd like to thank Bree for demanding I rewrite the original ending of this, and a few of the jokes. Original ending. Oh, I wonder how it originally ended.
Oh, they better have fucking died.
Oh, God. It actually ended realistically. It was just changed from the point of Applejack coming in and screaming about her dead sister. And Horizon for his further feedback and refinement. I'd also like to thank Magello for a final sanity check on the piece before it was posted. And finally, I'd like to thank my keyboard of 12 years, which finally gave its life to the cause. After this story was finished, it shall be missed. There was a death in this fanfiction. Oh God, why didn't they tag that?
I don't think the death tag was around at this point.
That explains it. The end. That was Lunch by Titanium Dragon. What did we think of this one?
Well, ironically enough, yet another baby pony torture death fic. Or I suppose just baby pony torture fic.
Yeah,
To be fair, they did sort of get what was coming to them, but at the same time, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I refuse to believe that was anything but painful for them.
Yeah, that was probably super painful. Terrifyingly so. Like, I can't think of a worse way to die.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can think of worse ways to die, but ugh.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the ones that's up there. I've heard stories of people who got like boiling sugar poured on them, and it's apparently just one of the most painful experiences you can have, because it's like boiling water is bad enough, but that can be wiped off. Boiling sugar, anything sticky, that's just going to stick there until you can get it like thoroughly washed off, and it's not going to happen soon enough for it to prevent any damage. So, you know, regardless of this being a fan fiction about a cartoon, that is still terrifying.
Yep. That is all I can think about. What the hell else happened to this fic? Let's see. I hope they learned their lesson. Because supposedly they did live.
Yep. They just need a jackhammer to get them out.
Quite frankly, I think they're old enough to have learned that lesson already, but if they didn't, that really sucks for them. You know, teach your kids better, guys, and they probably won't get into bad stuff. Don't wait until they're already into the bad stuff.
This really should have been what happened to Silver Spoon and Diamond Tiara, though, because they didn't get their comeuppance.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, they just made fun of Apple Bloom's dead parents and beat it.
I was kind of expecting them to come back at some point, but...
And then talk to a princess.
Yeah, that's true. I was hoping this would be a good teamwork fan fiction, but it did not turn out that way. They did try, but did not succeed.
Yeah, they kind of failed as a team, just in general. Like, nobody pointed out, hey, maybe this is a bad idea. Nobody... They were arguing when trying to get into the place. Scootaloo had to straight up yell, get the hell off me.
Someday, the Cutie Mark Crusaders will get a win in this podcast.
That day will not be anytime soon. I guarantee it.
One of these days. There was that one fan fiction we read where they got their cutie marks, though.
Did that happen?
Yeah, we read one fan fiction where they got their cutie marks. Do you remember?
I don't.
It was Her Most Sacred Duty.
Oh, yeah, you mean the one where they don't actually get their cutie marks and one of them fucking dies?
They they technically get their cutie marks at one point in that fic.
That's another Sweetie Belle death fic.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a Sweetie Belle death fic. Spoilers, not really.
God. That one's the only one that's technically not a spoiler because it's like, it straight up tells you that that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's just in the opening. At least in this one, they got to die together.
Yep. This one and The Witching Hour.
Yep.
Very similar. Honestly, I think the deaths in The Witching Hour might have been more pleasant.
They were described more brutally, but...
Not to read, but...
Yeah.
Which way would I want to go out?
All right. I think that wraps everything up for this episode. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. Make sure that you go ahead, give this story a like, give our podcast a like, give our podcast a favorite. I have been your host, Wizzy Puff, bidding you a good night.
Good night. Mwah.
See ya! All right, now for links to my OnlyFans. You can find that in the description of this episode because I've recently started an OnlyFans and everyone can tune in there.
Thank God, it's about time.
But OnlyFans,
I needed
guys.
something to spend money on.
Not you, OnlyFans.
I'm a fan.
You're a hater.
I wouldn't consider myself... I'm a eccentric fan.
There's a point where being a fan becomes obsession.
I would say I am a fan to you, like how Star Wars fans are fans of Star Wars.
I don't know what this means, but I don't like it.
Their only objective in life seems to be hating Star Wars, and that's it.
So, like, you like me, but you hate it when I get a girl. I get it. Okay.
You know what? Yes, I suppose that's a good way to put it, yeah.